We're here today to do a how to play video on Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet is a game by Bezier Games, which we just learned how to say. It's like Bezier. We've been saying like Bezier for far too long. Silver Bullet has quickly become one of our favorite go-to games. Then we played Silver Bullet, one of our favorites, and we played Silver Bullet 14 times in February. So obviously this is from Bezier Games.
Yeah, Bezier, you're killing it, man.
We love that game.
We love that game. You need to play Silver Bullet. Just get it. Next up is one of our collective favorites. Did not get to the table as much as we would have liked. Is Silver Bullet by Bezier Games. We freaking love Silver Bullet.
We love Silver Bullet. Here's the main event, really.
We played it that many times. Oh
yeah.
My goodness.
Next up, we have Silver Bullet from Bezier Games. We played this game a total of 15 times in the month of May.
I'm actually not surprised.
This is, we'll probably talk about this in every wrap-up. This is our favorite, one of our favorite games to play. We play it nightly. We lay on the couch while we play it. This is a fantastic game.
I love it so much.
Yes. To anyone.
No, it shouldn't.
It's Silver Bullet from Bezier Games. This is our favorite game that we play together.
Yeah, what are we at? 30s?
Oh, we're 30, close to 40 plays this year already. 40 plays
this year so far.
I feel like we wouldn't go anywhere without this game. We love it so much.
This game lives
upstairs,
like next to us.
It doesn't have a spot on the shelf.
It doesn't live on our shelves. It lives upstairs.
So the next game, of course, you probably expected to see this one on the old list, and that is Silver Bullet from Bezier Games. Love this game. It's our favorite game to play.
Is from Bezier Games, and that is Silver Bullet.
Thank God you put that on your list.
There is no way, shape, or form I will live in a world that I cannot play Silver Bullet. Hear us talk about games we love or have bought or rank or whatever and be like, I need to buy that. I never want you to do that.
Except for Silver Bullet, you should buy that game.
What is your number one?
I don't know. All right,
I'm embarrassed when we're going to mention how many times we played this game.
Let's say it together. It's Silver Bullet, obviously. This game is by far our most played game.
Yeah.
We want to build the ultimate...
The mega deck.
The mega deck.
The mega game.
Ultimate silver, deck.
That's our objective. And now we see what we got.
Oh my God!
So, winner, chicken dinner, I think, is coming here, folks. What a game from the kid. But so, that is...
Yeah, that's how you play Silver Bullet.
Bullet. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
board games and board gaming things. Silver Bullet. Silver Series.
Silver Series. We are here today to do the highly anticipated Silver Series Showdown.
Silver Series Showdown. I love alliteration.
Are we singing the same song?
You're way off on that.
So we are here today to do our comparison of all 4 of the games in the Silver Series from Bezier Games. We wanted to give a shout out to Bezier for sending us Silver Amulet, Silver Dagger, and Silver Coin.
Completing our collection.
Completing our collection of the Silver Series.
To do this.
Like we said, in this there is the Silver Amulet game, which was the first game that came out. Then the second one is Silver Bullet.
Silver Bullet was the second in the series?
I believe so. Then we had Silver Dagger.
Really?
And then finally Silver Coin to round out the house. We have played all of these games multiple times, back to back to back to back to back.
We played a lot of these.
We played a lot of them. We now have a better idea of which of these 4 games is best.
What do you think it is?
And not only that, but we also have created our ultimate silver deck.
TBD. No spoilers.
No spoilers. How are we going to do this, Jeff? Do you want to go one by one? ranking.
Are we just going right into this?
We're just going right into it.
So should we briefly talk about what silver
Oh yeah, that
is?
probably is a good idea. Silver Series, are these all the right way up?
Yep, you're good. I checked.
The Silver Series is a card game. Each one is a card hand management game that also involves a little bit of memory, where essentially you have werewolves loose in your village.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want them. Each of these games, you're basically trying to get rid of all of the werewolves, have the fewest amount of points in your hand by the end of the game in order to win. Each of these 4 games comes with a silver piece. So in Silver Amulet, you get an amulet. Silver Bullet, you get a bullet. Silver Dagger, you get a dagger. And Silver Coin, you get a coin.
Bet you couldn't have guessed that.
It was pretty self-explanatory. Each of those silver pieces does something different to alternate a card or to manipulate something or to avoid points, but we'll get into all of that.
Yeah,
when
it's
we go
essential
into
to
the
the
games.
mechanic of the specific iteration of the game.
That's basically it in a nutshell. Each game plays the exact same way with the exception of how the silver piece works and of course what the cards say, but the mechanics of the game does not change based on the iteration that you are playing.
Yeah.
Each of them has a bit of a different theme. So with, how do we always put lids on?
I have no
upside
idea.
down?
I was looking at that as well.
So the Silver Amulet game is all about protection, keeping villagers safe since 1689. All about protection. Silver Bullet is all about killing them vampires. Wait, killing them werewolves. Guaranteed to stop werewolves, the Silver Bullet. Silver Dagger is all about removing werewolves, taking a stab at werewolf removal, and Silver Coin is all about protection. So a secure investment for your village. And there are 4 rounds total in each game. Whoever has the least amount of points at the end wins, which is usually me. Did you know that you were agreeing?
I said yep. I said yep too quickly.
Are we wanting to get into the ranking now?
Let's do it. So I want to caveat this. When we ranked these, Jamie and I ranked these separately and then came together and they were the exact same.
They were the exact same.
So we were definitely on the same wavelength.
As we usually are, except for when it comes to
Yeah,
something like a Agricola.
sometimes.
Coming in at number 4 is the OG
Silver Amulet.
Silver Amulet. Silver Amulet was the first game that came out in this series. So I think that it is the most basic.
Very much so. In terms of card mechanic.
Yes. And I think that because it is the first and they were figuring it out, that's most likely why.
Not a lot of take that action.
Not a lot of take that action.
Yeah, we should caveat this quickly. We play this at 2-player.
Yes.
We play all of these at 2-player.
2-player.
And we prefer take that action.
Yes.
So our lists, rankings, and the deck we've created have that all in mind.
Exactly. Number 1 thing about Silver Amulet, it has Mike from the Brothers Murph on the cover.
Yeah.
He looks a bit grumpier than normal. Let's get into a little bit about what we think about Silver Amulet. Starting off with what the actual amulet itself does. So the amulet for Silver Amulet, what you do is you place this on a card and it protects that card. That card's points are still counted at the end of the game. You're essentially just putting this on the card so nobody can take it from you or switch it or do any of those things. We find that with the amulet, we don't really use it.
Like it's good, but it's not great.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that you kind of forget that you even have it because it doesn't feel super.
Yeah, and there's other cards that allow you
necessary.
also to protect things. It was an okay ability, but it wasn't one I was like, oh, I feel like I must win around so that I can use this.
Yeah, I don't think I used it at all in the last game.
Yeah, definitely a lot more face-up interaction with the cards. So in this game, you have cards face down. You have to remember which cards are which, and you can turn those cards face up, which allow you to take a face-up ability or an action. We found in this game that the face-up interactions, there was more of them in Amulet than in the rest. So way more kind of like turn your cards face up and do a thing, which wasn't quite as much in the other kind of iterations of this.
Right.
Not quite as much player interaction take that interaction, which we've mentioned.
Yeah, definitely.
You're pretty much playing your own little game in front of you. There's a little bit of interaction, obviously, between the two players, but not quite as much as the other games, which we prefer.
We have that the 0 card is not great at 2 players. So typically the 0 card is like a really powerful card in each of the games. In Silver Amulet, what the 0 card does, which we actually never had this trigger in any of the games we've played, but if you happen to flip up your 0 card when somebody else has one flipped up, the game ends immediately. So it could be good.
Better at a higher player count.
Probably better at a higher player count, but if you know, like, okay, I have very few cards and now finally I'm getting an ability to flip a card, now's the right time for me to flip my 0 and end the game. But we never used it.
That never came up in our plays. There's only 2 zeros in a 2-player game.
The 0 and the 13 only have 2. Every other card has 4.
If you're thinking about it logically, there's only 2 0 cards. So both have to be in a village. 50% of them, one of them has to already be flipped up. For that action to be fulfilled. That's tough, and it never came up in our plays.
No.
And I think it would potentially come up more in a higher player count because there's more cards out. There's more people playing.
Yeah, and in a 2-player game, there are 10 cards removed from the game, and you don't know what those 10 cards are, so
you could remove both. You could
remove one and never be able to actually trigger that ability. So
that's actually, I didn't even think of that. If you remove one of them in that 10 discard, it nullifies the trigger.
0 is always great to have, but this one's extra ability isn't the best.
The bodyguard card is really cool in this.
Mike.
Which is the 3, which is Mike.
Which
Mike
says,
Murphy.
when face up, protect this and one other card from opponents. Kind of just like what the amulet does. This card is just a card version of the amulet. You put this on top of another card and somebody can't mess with that card.
But the 3 card in itself is super powerful because you can basically choose your most powerful card in your deck and be like, or in your village, be like, you can't touch this card.
Can't touch this. And then we have the 4 card, which is the Rascal, is a card that we really liked as well. So with the Rascal, when face up, you get to draw 1 extra card from the deck. That is a very useful card because when you're taking your turn, you draw your card, you could draw a 0 and a 12, and then you get to choose a 0 over the 12, which is great.
It just increases your chances of adding a better card to your village, whereas normally you're just top decking and it's like you're hoping it's a good card.
Yes, and you also get to see what card you're putting back on top, so you know what the next person is going to be drawing. So that card is a really good one. 13 card in this deck is also pretty good. It is a doppelganger, which basically allows you to match one of the cards that you're discarding. So it's just an extra card that you're going to be able to get rid of.
Yeah, I mean, another core kind of mechanic of this game, not only do you want to lessen the amount of werewolves, aka numbers, in your village, you want to do that by basically trashing cards out of your village.
Exactly.
Ideally ending with 1 card in your village at the end of the game. And the doppelganger allows you to basically discard her with anything else that you're discarding.
And one thing that we haven't mentioned where these silver pieces come into play is when you have 4 or less cards in your village, you get to call a vote. If you'd like, if you think you have the least amount of points in your village, you call a vote. Person who wins the vote gets the silver piece. If you call a vote and you do have the least amount of points in your village, then you score 0, which is ideal. And the other hand, though, if you call a vote and you don't have the least amount of werewolves, you get plus 10 added to your score. So that is something else, but that is a reason why this 13 card is so great, because when you discard cards, you can discard matching cards. So if you already had, let's say, 3 5s in your village, when you draw a card, you can discard all 3 of those 5s together, and if you have a 13, you could discard the 13 with it, and then you're left with 1 card. That's Amulet in a nutshell. I'd say it's, to me, the most boring of all of them.
Again, at 2-player.
At 2-player.
I think boring's a bit harsh. It was still fun.
Sure.
But just comparatively, as we are doing a ranking, it did not hold up against the other 3.
Yeah, as a 2-player game. That is Amulet, ranking at number 4.
Number 4.
Our number 2 is... Our number 3 is...
Silver Dagger.
Silver Dagger. What I will say about Dagger, if this was a cuteness award, I think this one might win.
Yep, it definitely, so all the art is the same. It's all very cute. What I would say is the characters in this one are the cutest characters.
Yes.
I mean, look at the box.
It's a fuzzy little ball of whatever.
Fuzz.
So starting off with the silver piece, and this one you get the Silver Dagger. What the Silver Dagger allows you to do is change direction of play. So as you can imagine, in a 2-player game, that's really not that exciting.
It just basically lets you take 2 turns in a row.
It lets you take 2 turns in a row. The dagger itself is pretty neat, but other than that, its actual ability is kind of, I mean, it is one that I always use.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's beneficial
why
to
not?
take 2 turns in a row, but it would mechanically be better in a higher player count.
Yeah.
It would really start tossing people for loops if you start kind of like just changing
Constantly
direction.
changing direction, yeah.
See how many times I can do this before they understand what I mean.
Are you changing direction?
Yeah.
Another unique part about Dagger before we get into the review of it is this also has a private deck option. So there's an extra component in this box versus all of the rest of this private deck marker, which triggers off of one of the cards.
Yeah, so the private deck is kind of like you set it aside and it's your own potential draw deck. And you can add to it, you can remove from it instead of drawing from the communal deck. Yeah.
So what do we have to say?
Not great at 2 because a lot of the mechanic of this game is based around direction of play. So in a 2-player game, it inherently doesn't work quite as well.
Even one of the cards with this little guy on it, number 11, is change direction of play.
Yeah.
So this also has a card that mimics what the
silver piece
does.
does. The direction changing thing just doesn't work great at 2-player. This is the only one though that you can actually score negative points. So you can actually score negative points in this game, which is the only one you can do that in. I do believe it's the 0 that allows you to do that.
The 0, which is a dinosaur.
Yeah, it's
which
a
is
very
adorable.
cute looking dinosaur.
Debt collector, he's called. When face up at scoring, subtract 1 point for each card in all other villages. You can score negative points. This is a really good 0 card when it's face up.
And again, would be even more powerful in a higher than 2-player count because you are subtracting cards in all villages.
Other villages.
So in a 2-player game, that'd be 1 other village. And obviously you would multiply that by the number of players. So I thought that was pretty neat, the fact that you could go into the negatives. And that did happen a couple times with us. The 13 card is
adorable.
A game ender, but incredibly difficult to achieve. However, Jamie did do it 1 game. And in my opinion, it ends the whole game. It doesn't just end the round, especially with how good we are now at these games. When Jamie triggered that ability, it was game over.
The 13 card is the furry.
It looks like the kid from Where the Wild Things Are.
Or one of the Lost Boys from Peter Pan. So at scoring, if your sum equals 50, you score 0 for your cards and all other players add 50 to their sum. Like Jeff said, that is a game ender, but to get exactly 50 in your village is not easy to do. It has to be exactly 50. I tried this twice. The first time I did not get it. The second time I did get it. And it was just literally by the luck of the draw that I got it the second time.
She needed a 2.
And I pulled a 2.
And she pulled a 2.
Go figure.
Go figure. Well, I mean, I think it's game ending. No way would either of us come back from 50.
Unless the other person in the very next round also did
Which would be almost impossible.
Yeah.
And 2, like the opposite of that, if you try it and you end up stuck with like 49 points, 48, 47, 46, 45, you're still gonna lose.
You're still gonna lose.
44.
What about 43?
43.
42?
Still gonna lose.
Wow. Honestly, I think that this is the strategy you go for in this game. If it's the 3rd round or 4th round, you're losing already, and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to try it.
Definitely something again, I keep saying this, but at higher player count too, I think that would come into more play. Like if you have cards turned up and you're going for the 50, I know you're going for the 50.
Right.
But if you have multiple people and it's hard to pay attention to everyone at the same time, you might be able to get away with that strategy a bit easier. I love the 3 card in this, which is the Sentinel. So the Sentinel doesn't allow another person to discard, manipulate, or steal, switch any of your cards in your village. Yeah. They can flip it up and take an action off of that because that is a trigger in this, but they can't change anything. And I love that card.
And he has to be face up. A lot of these, they obviously have to be face up in order to trigger their abilities. There's a card in this deck, the number 4 card, that you can get stuck with and you are not allowed to discard. So in order to ensure you don't get stuck with that card,
you can
have a Sentinel up, then somebody can't mess with you, and it is definitely a really good protection card.
So speaking of that card, that is the 4 card, which is the Zombie, which I think is likely the most most unique card in the entirety of the
agree.
series.
Yeah, the zombie. When face up, you may flip this card face down and place it in the previous player's village. This card may never be placed on top of the discard pile. The only exception in order to have this on top of the discard pile is if you draw it, you can immediately discard it. But once it's in the villages, it cannot go into the discard pile. So it's like you're stuck with this 4, and that really kind of sucks.
Yeah, just to kind of summarize all of this, I would say the Dagger series has the most unique abilities of all the games. You can definitely develop some powerful combos, as we've mentioned with the 13 card. The Sentinel, the 4, can really start triggering a lot of things. The private deck thing that we mentioned.
Yep, that's the number 10 card.
Kind of okay. Neither of us really used it.
I think I used it one time because I happened to have a 0 in my private deck.
It's an okay mechanic, just it's different, again, unique, but it didn't really add a ton to our play. That's pretty much it for Dagger.
Yeah, definitely the most unique. I find like with a lot of the other sets, there's a lot of cards that it's like, okay, view card, view card, view card, flip card, flip card. But this one, they're all very unique and different. Yeah. I do really like this one. I'd like to play it at more than 2. And it's so cute.
Yeah, and again, it has very cute characters in it.
On to our number 2.
Number 2 of 4.
What could it be? Is it Silver Bullet or Silver Coin?
Let's pause while you all decide.
I feel like Dora the Explorer.
What's in your backpack?
Wow!
Wow!
I feel like how
unless someone's listing off 100 things, they've answered this question.
Yeah. Our number 2 game is Silver Coin.
Nice.
Come on, guys. You couldn't possibly.
You knew.
So Silver Coin is coming in at number 2. I believe that this is the most recent release. So starting off with the coin itself, this deck is all about flipping cards. Like that is kind of like the big thing with this deck. So the coin itself allows you to flip one of your cards just one time, and that's what it does. So the coin itself works really well with the synergy of this deck because there are cards that you want to be flipped face up, and there are cards that there is a particular card that you may not want to flip up until the very, very end. Yeah. I think I used it every time that I had it. You definitely did.
This one takes that leap into that next level of player interaction for us. There's a lot of take that in this one. As Jamie mentioned, a lot of card flipping. That is the core mechanic of this, flipping cards up. The 0 card in this is very cute.
It's a puppy.
It's a pretty good ability. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's good.
It's the regifter. I think it's pretty great. So when face up,
you say that because it's got a cute puppy.
I love it. When face up at scoring, you give one of your cards to an opponent.
But see, here's my issue with it. By the end of the round, you're pretty much going to have good cards, like a 1, 2, 0. Yeah. Yes, that sucks to then give to someone, but it's not like you have a 10.
Right, unless you know.
But it could come in handy if someone calls a vote super quick and you have 5 cards in your hand, you have the coin and you have that. Yeah. Because then you can flip it up and you're likely to have like a 6 or a 7 or an 8 or something. And then it's like, well, there you go.
In the last game that we played of this, Jeff and I both had face-up 0 cards, so we basically just swapped cards. Yep. And I think it just so happened that I flipped mine up last minute, and you didn't know, and he called a vote, and I had a 2, he had a 1, so I gave him my 2, he gave me his 1, and then I ended up winning.
I would say overall, it has the least kind of diverse card abilities.
Yeah, like it's a lot of flipping.
They're all pretty similar, flipping cards, taking advantage of the ability on the card and what have you. I just find there wasn't a ton of like uniqueness or like anything that was overly exciting, I guess. Yeah, and it also too a lot of triggers off the discard pile.
A lot of triggers off the discard pile. We haven't talked about the
and the Wolfman, the 13 card might be one of my favorite 13
card. So the 13 card here is the Wolfman. When face up at scoring, if the sum of all cards in your village is less than 13, you score 0 points. This is the card I was referring to that you'd really want to save your coin for. Because what happens if this doesn't get flipped, you're stuck with 13 points at the end of the game, which is not great. Another card that we don't have listed in our notes, but I think is a really great card of this deck in particular, is Flipper, which is the number 6 card, which allows you to flip over all cards in any village. So yours, another one of your opponents, whatever, which makes things very, very interesting because
it changes the whole dynamic of the game.
Changes the whole dynamic of the game because then people can see what you have, but you also don't have to remember. So I feel like the memorization part of these games takes up the majority of my brain power, so much that I can't sometimes focus on the abilities.
Sure.
When all the cards are face up, I don't feel that way.
Yeah, we had a game where we both flipped a 6, and we basically then were playing the remainder of the game with all of our cards displayed. Yeah. It changes the whole dynamic of like, I don't know what she has. I don't know some of the cards I have.
Yeah.
And it really changes how you interact, and I really liked that.
Yeah, I think this one in particular, I just find it really fun to play.
Yep, it is very fun.
I think that's why it ended up at number 2, just because it's just fun.
Yep.
This one.
And again, it takes that player interaction to the next level with the take that stuff.
Yeah. So that is Silver Coin. What could number 1 be?
Number 1, the OG, our love, Silver Bullet.
When we get into our talk about our ultimate deck, we were surprised by
how few
of these ones actually made it into it. This game works the best at 2 players. It has the most take that action.
Yeah.
And it just holds a very special place in our hearts. We have played this game over 50 times this year alone. They're sleeved. We just know this game. We love this game.
There's some bias.
There is some bias there.
Bias.
So if you are going out and buying all 4 of these, maybe this doesn't end up as your favorite one. No. I'd be surprised if it didn't, but it might not.
I just find that take that interaction in this game is by far the best.
Not only that, the silver bullet itself is the best silver piece.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
The silver bullet allows you to put the bullet on one of your cards, and that card does not count towards your points.
Yeah.
So if for some reason you get stuck with a high card or not even, you just put this on that card and you don't have to worry about counting that at the end of the game, but that is the best silver piece in my opinion.
I do think that Silver Bullet has a couple cards that might be the cards I just don't care about the most out of the entirety of the series. Like the 10 card in Bullet, it's okay and can come in handy in very rare circumstances. The 10 card allows you to discard 10 from the drop pile immediately. You just discard 10. So you can end a game with that ability.
There's some in here that we never use. The 9 is one of them.
I wouldn't say never, but rarely.
I never use this one, but it's a marksman. Use the flipping ability of 1 face-up card in any village.
There's been a couple instances where the 9 has come in handy because just early on, Jamie flipped a random card and it was an 11. An 11 allows you to exchange cards. So then if I have a 9, I can then take that 11 action. So I could then exchange one of my cards for one of hers. There's just, again, the 10 and the 9 are very niche uses. And so that's kind of where I was going with that. It's just kind of like, yeah, these are okay.
I feel like that about a lot of them. Like the 4, we barely use the 4. Activate one of your flip abilities.
I love how we're sitting here shitting on all of these cards, but yet we've put Bullet at 1. And I'll say why. Those cards, for how little we use them, the combos that we can do in this set are by far the best. Like
7, 8.
7, 8 is super punishing. So the 7 allows you to look at all of your cards. And then the 8 allows you to shuffle
it's my favorite card.
The other player's cards. And I don't know how many friggin' times I will pull a 7 early in the game, and that is a super thing that, like, OP thing to have, where you know all of your cards super early. So I'll pull a 7, look at all of my cards, and Jamie will be like, I'm gonna get an 8, and she'll get an 8 and shuffle all of my cards back up. It's infuriating.
So good.
The 2 card in this game is my favorite too. The 2 allows you to flip cards up when it's face up. So if it's face up, you can flip up other cards, which is awesome. We don't use the 1 as often as we probably should, but the 1 allows you to add 1 to another card.
Yeah. The other thing about Bullet that I don't know why they don't all have this, but it comes with a cardboard thing for your deck and your discard pile, which we always use, and it's the only one that has it.
It's not needed, but it's appreciated.
I like it. Silver Bullet just has the most take that. It has, I don't know, it's fun.
Again,
it's great at 2 players.
It's very nostalgic for us. We love it. It was our first game in the series, and it will continue to be the one we play the most.
We've sleeved them.
We love it.
Might sleeve all of them.
So again, take this with a bit of a grain of salt on our rankings, but we love Bullet. Bullet just has a special place in my heart.
Bullet number 1. Those are our rankings. Now on to
our ultimate deck.
Ultimate.
Again, our ultimate deck. You could disagree. Go ahead. Feel free.
Go ahead.
We did this together and we're like, we've played it a few times and it was really fun.
It was really fun.
This is our ultimate deck.
Let's talk about the ultimate deck. Hopefully nobody notices that this is many hours later and we are now full of pizza.
I am.
Do I have any sauce on my face? Our ultimate silver deck. First of all, I wanted to tell you how many cards from each set there are. In our ultimate deck, there is 1 card from Silver Amulet.
Really?
1. There are 3 cards from Silver Dagger. There are 5 cards from Silver Coin, and there are 5 cards from Silver Bullet.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's fair.
I think
We didn't take that in consideration when we did it.
In our ultimate deck, we have selected in the 2021 Silver Bullet draft pick. Do you want to start?
Look at your fantasy football influence.
Right? For our 13, we have selected from the Silver Coin set.
I love this. This is so awesome.
I'm just prepping for Fantasy League. Wolfman. So Wolfman, we've already talked about him, but when face up at scoring, if the sum of all other cards in your village is less than 13, you score 0.
Yep.
That is our number 13 card. Our number 12 card comes from Silver Bullet, and that is the Gremlin. This little bad boy.
Figure.
You are able to give this card to an opponent. Basically what it does is it adds a 6th card to their row. So it's harder for them to dwindle their cards down. Number 11, also from Silver Bullet, is the Troublemaker. This one is one of my arch nemesis, and that allows you to exchange one of your cards with one of your opponent's cards. And Jeff likes to use this on me after I've called for a vote.
It's one of my favorite cards in the whole series.
Yeah. Number 10, also from Silver Bullet. This was a late addition to the draft.
I will mention, none of the 10s are super great.
The 10s are all vampires and they all suck.
Oh, brother. So we flip-flopped on one. We had a different one in and then we added this one.
And the reason being, so the 10 from the Silver Bullet is the count. And we talked about this, or I think Jeff mentioned this when we were talking about Silver Bullet, but he allows you to discard 10 cards from the deck. And we were going back and forth and we kind of thought that
he's a good end game trigger.
Yeah.
If you are up a decent amount and you pull him late enough in the game, you can end the game.
Exactly.
Basically are blocking the other person from taking another turn.
And we thought he would work really well with another one of the cards that we'll pull out later.
Yeah.
Number 9 is from Silver Coin, and that is the Psychic, which allows you to view any 3 cards. Pretty much, I think all of the 9 cards allow you to view other cards.
Yep.
This one allows you to view the most, so it just made sense.
And any 3 cards.
So
not just in your village. You could look at 3 cards in another person's village as well.
Village. Our number 8 is Thing from Silver Bullet. This is my favorite card.
Yeah.
This is the card that allows you to shuffle the other person's village.
Face down cards.
Face down cards, which is always great after they've already seen their cards.
Yeah, that is an early game destroyer of worlds.
Yes.
If you pull that, again, beginning of the game, you get to look at 2 and put them back in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've been able to look at 1 more or all of them. That 8 on turn 1, 2, or 3 is devastating.
And here's where that has hit me the hardest. If I have, let's say, an 11, and 11 comes up, obviously I don't want 2 11s in my village, but I can discard them both at the same time. So now I've got 2 11s. Jeff shuffles up my village. I don't know where those 11s are.
Yes.
Number 7 is view all cards in one village. This is Nostro from Silver Coin.
Yep.
We chose this one. All of the 7s, once again, have a pretty similar feel.
Mechanic, yeah.
But this one allows you to view all cards in any village, whereas the 7 from the Silver Bullet only allows you to view cards from your own village.
Yeah. So it gives you a little bit of choice.
A little bit more flexibility. Number 6, this is one of our favorites.
I love this card.
From Silver Coin, and that is Flipper, a little dolphin. He allows you to flip over all cards in any village, and that's not necessarily flipping face up. So if someone in their village has cards that are giving them a lot of triggers, you can flip them all down. This is why we chose that number 10 card, because if you can see somebody's village, you see what they have, and you know that you have better.
You could trigger the 10 to end the game.
Number 5 from the Silver Dagger series is the Approximator. Cute little octopus. Keep this card in your village face up after drawing, and instead of discarding it, then discard any 2 cards. So this allows you to get rid of 2 cards.
Yeah, and any 2 cards. They don't have to match. 5 isn't, it's not bad to have in your village. It's not great at endgame scoring, but this allows you, again, you're accepting the 5 to potentially get rid of 2 cards.
Our number 4 card is the one coming from Silver Amulet, and that is Rascal.
It's the best 4 by far.
This is the best 4. 4s are really tricky because, like, they're always the one that you're like, I don't really know if I want it. I don't know if it's worth it, but this one to me is worth it. So when he is face up, you can draw 1 extra card from the deck. So we've already talked about this, but you could draw 2, pick the one you want, put it into your village, and then put the other one back on top of the deck. You know what the next person's going to take, and you know that it's not as good as what you got. Number 3 from the Dagger series. This is one of Jeff's favorites.
Yeah.
This is a Sentinel, and when face up, this is the one that makes it so that he protects your village. So nobody can add cards to your village. They can't take anything away. They can't switch anything with you.
So yeah, if there's a card trigger that allows you to view and look at someone's card and maybe take an action on the card, that's fine. You just can't manipulate, change order, discard, exchange.
Yes. Our number 2 is going to the Priest from Silver Bullet. This is just a favorite of ours. So he just lets you flip over a card in your village before you take your turn. Our number 1 pick is the Con Artist from Silver Coin. The number 1 cards I find are kind of meh.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good one. So when face up, you can turn him back face down to take an additional turn, which can be really beneficial. And then finally, our 0 card we have picked, not just because it's cute, but mainly because it's cute, is the Regifter, which is the little puppy from Silver Coin. He is the one that allows you to give one of your cards before scoring to an opponent.
Yeah, it could just be super punishing. Just given the abilities we've included where we can flip cards and stuff, I can see myself, I can envision myself, Jamie calling a vote, so then I get 1 more turn. I have this card not face up, but I have it face down, and I pull an ability that allows me to turn it face up. I turn it face up on the last turn, and then I'm giving her a card, and she loses the vote. Like, that kind of trigger is exactly why we put this in.
I do feel like the 0 cards in all of the sets are great, with the exception of Silver Amulet. That was the only one that I was like, I don't want to put that in. I would have been fine with any of them. I think the Deck Collector is really cool,
I mean, really, for me, the 0 is staying in your village for the 0, not necessarily so much for the trigger. The trigger's great, like, don't get me wrong, if you can get that to work, but 0s are just great to have.
And for our silver piece, we have selected the Silver Bullet. This is just the best of all the silver pieces, in my opinion. So that is our ultimate silver deck, specifically, obviously, for 2 players. This one worked really well. We tried it out. We loved it. And it's just a lot of fun. The only problem is that you can't put it into BGG because we made it up.
I think I won both games, though.
Who's to say? It's not on record.
Unbelievable. I love the fact that you can do this.
Yeah,
and you could make a bunch of different decks. Yeah, so this one I find is very take that. Maybe we want to do something that's super like defensive, and like I just really like that you can kind of make this what you want.
I really just want to make the ultimate cute silver deck. But that is our silver series comparison and our ultimate silver deck. So let us know down below if you have tried the Silver series, which of the 4 games is your favorite and why? We have some friends that are in the process of doing this, and once they post and get that live, we will share that with the world. We are also planning on doing a playthrough of our ultimate silver deck for our Patreon channel. So if you're a Patreon, you can expect to see that coming your way soon. And if you're not a Patreon and if you're interested in being one, you can definitely check that out. All of the information will be linked below. And if you want to pick up any of these games, a great place to do that is at your friendly local gaming store. And for us here in Halifax,
Boardroom Game Cafe?
That is the Boardroom Game Cafe. Where's that located again?
Barrington, I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's on Barrington Street.
Yep.
You can find all of their information right here, as well as down below. If you're in Halifax, definitely go and check them out. What else do I usually... Sorry, the cat's
I don't know if you heard that, but...
If you like what you see here at Foster the Meeple, please consider subscribing to the channel. The button is down below. Give this video a thumbs up. And if you're interested, please feel free to join us on Discord. The link for that is in the description below as well. We have all the chats until the wee
We
hours
just
of
opened
the
up
morning.
a Disney channel.
We have a Disney channel. We could probably have a Silver channel, let's be
No
honest.
brainer. Yeah, to Jamie's point too, so I'm an early sleeper. Royal promise. Anywho, normally I'm an early sleeper, and ever since Discord started, I've been staying up to like midnight, 1 o'clock, because the chat gets lit
You
at
can't
like
miss the chat.
11:30 at night.
It's
Like
so good.
the past like 3 nights, we've been talking about having lightsabers created at Disney.
Yep.
Like, I don't know, I love that place.
Yeah, I love Discord.
Disney and Discord, but yeah,
Oh.
it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Come join us.
Come and join us, and
Yeah.
if you need any help with it, just let us know. So that's all that we have for you guys today. We hope to see you again soon, and now we say goodbye. Goodbye!
Later days.
Why are you laughing?
It's just funny because every time there's an intro, like I stopped interrupting you so you get all angry at me. But then there's like it seems like every intro, like my ears itchy, or like something happens, and I'm like, Devin, it's nonsense.
I thought we fired Devin.
I hired him back. Couldn't find another assistant. No one wants to work for me.
Wonder why.
Too needy, right, Devin? I know.
I have a nose whistle.
Ew, you do. Go out. Oh, it's just in. It's an inward nose.
It's an any. 2 + 2 is 4.